Hello everybody, I'm sorry about the lateness of the D-Day video. I am still not finished with the job. I did the injector, took about 2 hours, did the valve clearances, took about 4 hours to-ing and fro-ing, messing about, and I just was really tired. I didn't mix a lot of the video, but I still got a fair bit to go, and I might release part of it where I did the injector tonight, and then maybe release the rest after I've mixed it on as a D-Day plus one or something like that. So I apologise for the lateness, but I was really tired. I just kept falling asleep while I was trying to edit it, and I was really tired, and I had to go to bed early because I do start work at 6 o'clock. I needed to be in bed to get up this morning, but tomorrow's a public holiday and we're all good for a lie-in, so that's fantastic. I'll put this video out there and hopefully I'll see you later. Bye.
Good morning. It's Sunday morning in Berwick. It's overcast, but it's dry. My name is Dave. Thanks for joining me on the channel. And today is D-Day. Yesterday was D-Day -1. Today is D-Day. It's 9 o'clock and we're ready to get going. I've got my injectors in the ultrasonic bath, and got my gasket kit and my instructions and my torque settings. So what we need to do is swap the cars around and get started. Get on with this job. We've got a lot to do today. It's going to be a long video, so bear with me. You didn't tell me, did you? Drove out with my car with my gasket kit and my instructions on the back. Just picked them up from in the road. That was lucky. If I hadn't noticed a bit of paper in the road, I might not have known where the gasket set went to. Anyway, it is what it is. I've fixed it now, so we're all good. Right, let's get the Jackaroo back in. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're getting all prepped up, ready to go. I'm just clearing up a bit of space, and then we'll get started. Can you remember the tip from yesterday with the nitrile gloves? This is why it's relevant. Unlike any man who's been to IKEA, today I've got the instructions. Removal. Prior to removal, be sure to confirm and record the group code of any injector installed using the Tech 2. Well, because I'm going in there, I can look at the top of them and see anyway. But we can do that. We'll write them down on that bit of paper when we get there. So it's time to disassemble the intercooler assembly, the pipes. I might even take this battery out to give me a bit of extra space. We'll take off the intake pipe, ready to go. Then the rocker cover comes off and we're ready to go. So my steps, you can't see, you can't reach. First thing that comes off is the intercooler cover. Like so. Then we've got 4 bolts, 12mm. They're the 4 bolts that hold the intercooler to the framework. Right, we've released the pipes at the bottom, so we now remove the intercooler from the car. I'm going to get my other step for the other side. Okay, on intercooler. The next thing is the air intake. Now it's up to you. You probably can't see that from there, but when I'm saying it's up to you, these little clips, you can leave them on. You can take the air box lid off and leave the pipe attached there, or you can disconnect it here and leave this attached. It's up to you. Some of you may well still have this attached. Most of us don't, because most of them are broken. I'd like to reattach mine, but we'll have to see how it goes. I think the reason is that most people forget and they just end up cutting it. This pipe at the back here needs to come off, so we can pull them back, pull them off. This is a breather pipe for, I think, the EGR. I'm not sure. It might be a pressure equalizing pipe for the either side of the block. Not sure, but anyway, it's disconnected. Now we need to disconnect this. That needs to come off. We need to undo that EGR pipe there, which is on my catch can. It is coming off. I'll get that off in a second. I normally disconnect mine here. Like I say, it's entirely up to you how you do it. And then you need a long screwdriver. I have an extra long screwdriver for getting down into the turbo pipe in here. Just makes life a bit easier for me. That comes off there. Just need to pull this EGR pipe off. And out comes the air intake. Just make sure you put that back over here so it can't fall down into the engine bay. We need to loosen these bolts, that one of which is loose, and that one, there's two at the back there. They're all 10 mil. We need to disconnect, we need to take this plastic cover off. If you've still got that on. A lot of people don't, but I do. And you must remember to disconnect this wire here. Can you see that? This is a wire that goes to the aircon, and you'll break it if you don't disconnect it. I might do something with that wire this time. See how we go. All right, 10 mil. And the ones that are at the back are nuts and washers, so you have to be a bit careful with those. So it's a bit nearer to reach it, so. I've dropped this nut down the back so many times and lost it that I've had to replace it. This is why I'm doing the last bit by hand. And the same with the washer. There we go. You can see there's the pipe off. Those three are not as important because they don't seal oil, but the ones on the rocker cover do. Or can. Now this can be a bit of a pain to get off. Oh, I haven't taken the brackets off. I'm not sure what size they are. They could be 12, they could be 14, they're 12. I think this is a replacement bolt of some type. That's 13. And now we can leave the other side on. The other side are separate brackets, so that's alright. Alright, now we should be able to get this off. No, we shouldn't, because there's still a bolt there. Back to 10. Right, it's a nut and stud. Yeah, I'm going to split holes there. This is always a pain in the butt, this piece. Another thing you need to do is disconnect the stepper motor plug from the stepper motor, because it fits through the plastic shield. There we go. So it's this bit over here, it's a problem, because it has to fit through so many pipes and crevices and stuff. Okay, plastic cover off. Some of you may still have this sponge sound deadening on. I do, Rob doesn't. I like to have mine on. Doesn't seem to make any difference, but I'm sure it makes some difference. Looks like we've had a bit of a leak. Not sure what from. A bit of a concern, but not a lot we can do about that. I'll just clean it off. Brake cleaner to the rescue, as usual. Has anybody noticed about brake cleaner? Ever since everybody got a bit clever with it on YouTube, the price has rocketed in the stores. Everybody's buying it. We're down to the rocker cover. What we need to do is we need a 27mm ring spanner. Now, if you don't have one of those, you need to buy. It's a 27mm ring to open end. You need one of those to disconnect the high pressure oil pipe. And it's always tight, really tight. Now we need to disconnect this pipe both bottom and top. So you can get into it down here, although it's not easy. Now is the time to show you one of my new acquisitions. Oh, two of them. I got two fancy LED rechargeable work lights from eBay. Not from eBay, from Amazon. Magnetic as well. I can stick it on and go for it. I got two of them for $25. I was happy with that. So now what we've got to do is we've got to loosen that off without getting spanner rash. And if you don't know what spanner rash is, you will when you hurt your hand. There we go. I got it loose, no spanner rash. You are going to get oil out of this, so you do need a cloth. Because you've got to remember that's a high pressure oil pipe. The other thing to recall about this is when you put it back on, it's going to take a while for our high pressure oil to get up there. Now the one problem with nitrile gloves is when you get oil on them, they're bloody awful. They do keep your hands clean. And it's going to be black engine oil that comes out of here. Now there is one thing you need to be careful when you're doing this high pressure oil pipe. There are two O-rings. Now sit this on a cloth because it's going to leak everywhere. You see one of the O-rings in there, and the other one is on the end of the pipe down there. Whatever you do, don't lose them, or you'll need to buy a set of Viton O-rings if you lose them. If you use anything on the oil system or the injectors, Viton is the best way to go. Because we need to remove this other EGR pipe from here, obviously, because we're taking the rocker cover off. We'll take the 10mm bolts out for the rocker cover. Now I keep calling it a rocker cover. Theoretically, it's a cam cover because there's no rockers in there. The rocker cover is a throwback to when I did my training. Alright, the gasket wants to stay in there. So now we've exposed the four injectors, the harness, the AUX, the high pressure oil pipe, the high pressure oil rail, the camshafts and the cam followers and everything all in there. Let's do a click test. I should point out, if you disconnect the batteries to do this job and you're trying to use the Tech 2 to check something, you can't. You need an external battery supply. Alright, so I've got the Tech 2. I don't know if you want to see this. I'll show you it again. Right, we've got the Tech 2. Hit enter. We go to diagnostics. Year of the car. Mine's a 2000. Enter. Trooper Bighorn Jackaroo. Powertrain. And then down 2 to 4JX1. Hit enter. And then it says confirm the ignition is on, which it is. And then we get that. Okay, confirm it. Sorry, I didn't realize you couldn't see. Then we go down to miscellaneous tests. Up from the bottom, injector control. Alright, you ready? We're going to listen for the injectors now. I'll put you there so hopefully you can hear. Injector 1 is clicking. Injector 2 is clicking. Injector 3 clicking. And the one I suspect, injector 4, has a weak click. So I'm suspecting that injector 4 might be the issue. So we're going to change injector 4 regardless. I'm told that a weak click is a click, But I'm not happy with that, so I'm going to change it anyway. Now you need your mobile phone, and you need another thing. Right, I'll go through the other thing in your mobile phone. This next bit. I'm not sure which way around these are. Can you see how the oil stays on the cam lobes? That's a property of synthetic oil. One of the reasons why we use synthetic oil, because if that oil ran off and ran down into the bottom, it'd take a while for it to get back up here, and that would cause undue cam wear. We don't want that. So what we do next, we take a picture of the top of injector number 4. I'm just clearing my phone because you don't want to see my daughter's and son's my daughter-in-law's son's wedding pictures. Get a picture of the top of that injector. Hopefully it's the right way up. What did we ever do without mobile phones, I ask? There you go. I know you can't see it for the light, but there's some data off the top of the injector. You'll need that information. You'll need it off the new one as well, whichever one you're going to put on. Now, what did I mention? I mentioned you'll need something else. We need a set of seals for injectors, because you need to put injector seals on every time you put a new injector in. Another thing we need to check on while we're here, we can do that now, is in the end of the turbo, make sure there's not a lot of oil in there or anything like that, and there isn't. Because we've got to remove the clamp of 2 injectors, not 1, but we're only removing 1 injector, then we've got to disconnect both harness plugs of number 3 and number 4, and I'll point them out to you from here and here, so we can get this H bracket up and this one. Then we'll lift this H connector off. That's what holds the injector in place. Once you've got that H clamp off, you disconnect the 2 Allen bolts that's holding the injector to the oil rail, and then you can remove the injector. And before I forget, just in case I use this injector, I'm going to take a picture of the top of this one as a replacement. Now there's one thing that we can do here. Disconnect the harness on injector 4, plug it into this injector, and test the click test again. See if it makes any difference. If this one clicks okay, then we can put this one in. But we'll have to inspect the end to make sure that it's not cracked. You have to remember that these plugs in here are subject to a lot of heat, so they may break if you're not careful. Right. It is clicking. I'm not happy with it though. So I think we might not use this injector. Luckily, here's another one I prepared earlier. And I've got to remember to take a picture of this one and delete the other one. I use this. It might be the harness it's a problem. So that's quiet as well. Now there's one way we can test this. That's 3 injectors and they're all quiet. It could be the harness that's faulty. And there is a way of testing this, and that is to remove injector number 2 or number 1. We'll go 2 because we know that one's okay. Connect this injector to number 2 and see what that sounds like. Could be a coincidence that I have 3 injectors that are all quiet. I do have one more. This one's got a lot more carbon on it, but we can test the click. So there's 5 clicks. The first click is from the previous injector. I don't know whether even to bother, because the 3 injectors I've got all sound the same as the injector I was going to take out, and that's not a good thing. I have a knackered injector. Let's give that a try. Let's see if we can see a difference between these. Alright, let's try the same thing with a known bad injector. See, that one doesn't click at all. Now if I was to go to injector 1 now, it would start with a silent click and then there'll be 4 clicks. Because the previous first click is the previous injector. So we know that's a bad solenoid on this. We know that's a bad injector. So rather than disturbing it, I might just leave it. Of course, it could have a cracked nozzle. So the nozzles are here on the end, and I might turn you off for a minute and go up and inspect these under the microscope, make sure that they're alright before I go ahead. All is not lost. I've been up and checked the injectors and all the nozzles are fine. Still need to go in and check my shims and the valve clearances. So what I think I'll do is I'll remove the gasket, the original gasket, clean everything up a bit. I might leave the original injector. We'll see how we go with the cleaning up. If not, I'll swap it out, and then at least you get to see how it's done. It seems that you got lucky, because I'm going to swap out injector 4. I've decided I'm going to do that. The procedure is we take the H block off, then we take the 2 hexagonal bolts out, we lift the injector out, we change the injector for a new one. So what I'll do first is put new seals on it, get it all cleaned up before I remove that one. Make sure I've got the right picture to the top as well. So I'm going to take the H block off while we wait to finish in the ultrasonic bath. Now it is a nut, do not drop it into the rocker cover, because that nut will go down into your engine, so will the washer that sits on it too. So let's get this other injector harness off. Now do not drop that washer into your engine. Keep them together. Now you can see the H block has been removed. What we need to do now is remove the 2 screws that hold the injector to the oil rail. So there's one. That's that one loosened. And then let's loosen the other one, and then we can unscrew them. Alright, so we've got the bolts out. We should be able to lift the injector out now. Now that's not going to be easy. I think it moved then, didn't it? Yes, there we are. So you can see all the oil. One pretty clanged up injector. So now you know how to get the injector out. Alright, so I don't know if you can see because of the light, but I've got the O-ring partially off. So there's the old O-ring. It looks in good condition, but we're going to replace it anyway. Okay, because we've been in the ultrasonic bath, plug the clean out with electrical contact cleaner. We'll let that dry, and while we're doing that, we'll look for an O-ring. Now, where did I put the old O-ring? I need to make sure we use the correct O-ring, and I think it's this one. Okay, so we've got the new O-ring on, and we've got the new oil rail face O-ring inserted from the kit, so we should be ready to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a bit of O-ring lubricant on them. Now you've heard me talk about this as dielectric grease, but it says dielectric grease, rubber and O-ring lubricant. Just helps it get seat in place, that's all. Got that in, that's good. Now we will use a bit of this on the harnesses. And that's how the oil leaches into your socket, into your plug, down these harnesses. I'm going to give it all a clean out and a spray. Now you see the rubber seal's missing off that one. That's interesting. Where has that gone? Has it fallen off when I've taken it off? If it has, it'll go into the bottom of the engine and we'll never see it again. Or is it stuck in my old injector? It's not in there at all. So it looks like we've got a problem now with we don't have a. You can't see the seal in there at all. It might not have had a seal on it in the first place. It was reassembled. It could have fallen into the bloody injector hole. Well, I don't see it in there. Alright. Next job is to clean out that hole. You're going to need a screwdriver for that. So the screwdriver's clean, and then push the cloth down into the hole with a bit of cleaner. You can see straight away it's pretty grotty in there. So what I've just done, I've just cleaned out the injector hole, and I'm just cleaning the surface of the injector rail. Those are 2 parts that need to be cleaned to get the injector back in. While I've got the space, I might take these half moon seals out because these are siliconed in and they're a bit hard to get out. I think what we'll do now is we'll check the bottom of the hole, make sure it's clean. It looks pretty clean. Seems to have cleaned it out well. Put my bore scope down there and have a look, make sure it is clean. Okay, what I've got here is a bore scope. And what you do is you put it in the hole. So there you see where the copper washer sits, and below that is the piston. That is the piston cavity down there. You can have a look at your piston if you like. Except you can't cover the end in oil, otherwise it doesn't see anything. So there's the cavity where copper washer sits and seals. The hole in the centre is where the injector nozzle goes, and then up the side of the cavity in here is everything that where the O-ring seals, and it's pretty grotty in there, so I'm going to go in there again, give it another clean. So I've got the copper washer on there, but if I put it in, it's going to fall off like that, and there's a chance it could get in upside down. So I need to retain that onto there, so I use a bit of silicone grease or something to do that. So I've used a little bit of this anti-seize copper compound just to hold it in place. It's only a tiny bit. But what it means is when I turn that over, the copper washer now stays, so I'm safe to put the injector in. So that's pushed down and it's in position. It's looking good. So what we need to do now is get the bolts. So in an ideal world this would be easy, but this isn't an ideal world. So we've got a problem with now is we can't really torque those bolts down. I'm just cleaning a bit of stuff away and then we're going to carry on. We've got the two clean bolts there. Alright, so it says install the injector bolts temporarily. So what that means is you just put them in, but you don't screw them tight. They won't screw in. So I might just need to tap the top a little bit. It might be just a little bit, needs a bit of seating. Now, the last time I opened this, I went down the road. I had to get in the car, drive down the road to pick it up. So I won't do that again. That's what it needed. It just needed a tap down. Use a rubber mallet for that, nothing else. You don't want to damage the solenoid. Now I can feel the bolt going into the hole. We're not far off at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten down the H-clamp. Install the injector clamp and tighten the nut temporarily. So it says what I've got to do is tighten these up first to torque. 5.1 foot-pounds. How the hell am I going to do that when the hex bolts? So I'm tightening these to what I think is about the right torque. Not much more I can do with hex head bolts. Now we've got to tighten down the H-clamp to torque, I believe. Clamp nut to specified torque. 30 Newton meters and then torque to 25 Newton. Now the reason it's done like that is because we have to seat that copper washer at the bottom. We're set into pounds feet, so it needs to be 22.4. I'll double check that. 22.4 and then loosen again. Here we go. Can you see it? Now we have to back it off again. And then we tighten it to 17.4, 17.4. I went to 17.9. Injectors are done. I don't know if you saw what I was doing there. I put the clamp on, I put the bolts in and tightened the bolts up to 5.1 pounds feet. The H clamp went on first of all at 22.4 foot-pounds, then loosened off and then tightened to 17.4 foot-pounds. So that's done. Then we reconnected the loom back on.
So the reason I can't finish the video is, well, you may have noticed that when I took the rocker cover off I had 3 loose bolts. Those bolts are sheared. So I have to drill and helicoil those holes, and that is the reason why I've ended this video now. It was getting too long anyway, so that's that for now, and I'll record the rest of it tomorrow when we drill out the holes and helicoil it. I'll see you tomorrow.